Tonight, the council meeting, August 3rd. At this time, I'd like to introduce Pastor Danny Nance of Bay Vista Baptist Church for a prayer.
God Most High, we thank you for your faithfulness tonight. And Almighty God, I ask that you will cover our city under your grace and peace. I pray for these city officials, these council members who desperately need wisdom in how to lead us in a time of great uncertainty. Help them to have unity of purpose, courage of conviction, and hearts of compassion. And I pray that you will grant your protection on all those who serve our city, from first responders to medical personnel who are standing on the front lines of a valiant battle right now, and teachers who unfortunately serve so often with not the gratitude that they deserve. To all city workers who help us keep running. And I pray as citizens of this city that you will reach down and touch all with strength, peace, and hope for better times. Help us, O Lord, I pray. In your grace, amen.
At this time, I would like to ask recall of the Asgard Motorcycle Club to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, yep. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules. There's a motion by Mr. Lawrence.
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Barrett. Any discussion? All in favor? Is that a 6-0 vote? Okay, what we are adding is docket B under the routine agenda. That's the only addition to the agenda. I'll consider a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Barrett. Any discussion? All in favor? It's a 6-0 vote. All right, that brings us to the presentation agenda and the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me ask at this time, recall up here and bring his group to, I'm going to read this proclamation to the Asgard. If you could just, we'll have a photo op here too. Who's mentioned? You ready? Okay.
Vincent's always ready.
Yeah, sometimes too much. This is a bunch of years y'all been doing this, so it gives me really a great pleasure. And there's so many things. I'm not going to read all. I'm just going to summarize what this says. So, whereas, this proclamation from the city of Biloxi, for more than 3 decades, that's 30 years, the Asgard Motorcycle Club has been the funding foundation for the Mississippi Gulf Coast Multiple Sclerosis Society and continues to dedicate their service to many organizations in our community to help meet the needs of those less fortunate. Whereas the Asgard Motorcycle Club this year sponsored the 38th Harley Memorial Day blowout, benefiting the Mississippi Gulf Coast Multiple Sclerosis Society, Boys and Girls Club, and many other charities, and have sponsored the annual toy run along with the Knights of Columbus Council 1244. Biloxi and Catholic Charities to provide toys throughout the South Mississippi and Louisiana to benefit the Catholic social and community services, Hancock Park County Doll and Toy Fund, and Hope Haven Doll and Toy Fund. And whereas Asgard and there's about 30 of these organizations that y'all work so hard and tirelessly. I'm not going to read all of them because I may run out of voice. But whereas Asgard Motorcycle Club has dedicated their time to making a difference and has been successful in their efforts to improve the quality of life for all. Now, therefore, I, Andrew Fofo Gillich, Mayor of the City of Biloxi, Mississippi, do hereby proclaim the 3rd day of August, 2021, as Asgard Motorcycle Club Day. Congratulations, Rico. Thank you, Rico. Give you the mic.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the recognition. That's not why we do it. We do it because we care. We do it because we want to support the community. We want to make a difference in everybody's life. You know, from Toy Run, especially for the children, less needy children. I'd like to try to do this year as a Toy Run. You know, we probably hit 300 to 600 kids try to get toys. I want to make it over 1,000 this year. With this COVID and everything else that's gone on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, there's a lot of needy people out there. But I appreciate the support from the City Council, Mayor, everybody here in the City of Biloxi, Chief of Police especially. And I'm hoping this year that they do the Thanksgiving at the Snyder Center for the adult handicap. We always try to support that. Cyrus, he's our cook. He smokes about 18 turkeys for that thing. So they really enjoy it. I know the chief's out there almost every year helping to serve food, and I think Mr. Tisdale's been out there serving food. But I appreciate it, and I hope we can keep doing them things. Halloween, Christmas for the adult handicap, all that stuff at Snyder Center. So I'm hoping this COVID don't hit it too hard this year. But thank you.
Congratulations. Appreciate every y'all. Thank you so much. Okay, come on. Well done, well done.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we'll move to the mayor's report.
Oh, okay, very good, thank you. Welcome everyone to the first August meeting of our period number 10 of this FY year. We've had some good workshops so far, one earlier today, so we off and running and defining the challenges that we need to do. And I'm appreciative of the workshop that we just had, and again, before I want to ask the City Council to spread the expenses of the Biloxi Travel credit card to the minutes. And but I think that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Department reports, I don't see any, don't believe we have any. We'll move to the council reports. We'll start with Mr. Guides.
Just wanted to ask the Mayor CAO about the trash pickups. Check with Pelican Waste. I think they're kind of getting behind again. So if we can just kind of see what's going on there. We still have some debris that's out. The other thing I wanted to ask about is Jefferson Street. If you would check on, I know we're going through some infrastructure work on the south side of the tracks, but Jefferson Street is a real rough street. And if we can do something just to shave it until we get to that portion of it. I would like to meet with the Chief Miller, a little later concerning the curfew. We talked about kids' curfew going back to school. We had some unwarranted acts within the Ward 2 community, and I wanted to make sure we address those unwarranted acts. And we're having a meeting Tuesday, August 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Biloxi Civic Center, 578 Howard Avenue. So I just wanted to make sure that we can have those things together before we meet with some of the community members who were concerned about some of the unwarranted activities. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Newman.
My only thing is, it seems like the homeless is getting worse around my area and even on Howard Avenue. And it seems like even though they are trespassing and things like that, the police say they can't do anything. So it's like, what can we do to help our citizens? Because they're, they don't know what else to do. And we got the naked man still, terrorizing. So I don't know, what can we do?
You want to know, again, we've had efforts year after year after year to figure out, assess the situation with each individual. And again, we've actually engaged some and put them on a bus to go where they wanted to go. But again, with mental health and all these complicated things, COVID on top of that, it's not only us, but, look at Austin, Texas, look at different places, New Orleans, Louisiana. It is a challenge. And, we're had an effort, and we thought we were going to have a solution by April to provide an assessment center so Chief can bring those folks to get assessed and then evaluate which way to go, what services can be provided. It's a complex problem. And I'm appreciative and I'm frustrated, and our family's frustrated, your family's frustrated, your customers and visitors are frustrated by the situation that these folks place people in. And it's I don't want to minimize.
What I'm worried about is they're in neighborhoods and they could attack children, and they're attacking the elderly. They could be robbing them. I mean, hurt themselves. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse.
Well, the chief is aware of what can be done. I don't know if you want to say something, Chief. Yeah.
So we have worked hard with the coalition, the Homeless Coalition, Open Doors Homeless Coalition, to try to house as many as we can. They've done a great job, but for everyone that we house, somebody else shows up. So we're constantly dealing with it. I have people, that's all they do is deal with the homeless all day. So being out and being homeless isn't against the law. So if we arrest them, we have to arrest them for a charge.
Yeah.
And currently, we can't take them to the county jail because of the COVID restrictions now. So there's not a place to take them. So all we're left with is dealing with their situation and trying to find them somewhere to go. I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but it's not just here. This is all over the country. It's working the same way.
Even if they are arrested, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, probably the best we can do is hold them for 6 hours, even if you're threatened. You don't have to touch you to be threatened, but that's, can be arrested. But, the bottom line, 6 hours, they'll be right where they were. There's no easy solution.
There's not, and a large amount of them are actually suffering from mental illness. And that just makes it even harder to try to deal with.
Thank you, Chief. Anything else, Ms. Newman? Okay, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, to follow up on that, the people living at Seabreeze, the condominiums on the beach, they said they're having a hard time walking on the boardwalk now because there's so many of them sleeping on the boardwalk, sitting in the chairs. I thought maybe police presence could help us there, because they just said they quit walking them because they said every time you go through it, give me money, that, and they feel threatened. And they just asked, they called in today, wondered if something we could do about it. I told them I'd bring it up tonight at the meeting, and maybe the police could put somebody down there.
We'll move our resources there for a while. We can curb that.
All right. Is Pete in there? Yeah, I'd like to, we got a couple of people called in about the Swetman House, the way we're going with the Swetman House.
Yeah, I think we've been talking to the state off and on for the last 6 months. I don't know if there's any real progress there about them taking it over. So at this point, I think it'd be wise if we talk to the People's Bank Foundation about what's the long-term plan for that building and see if we can, well, I'm sure we can negotiate some sort of transfer or some sort of returning the property to them or allowing us to sell it and put it on the tax rolls because it's just really underutilized. So we'll start those discussions.
Well, so it's something like that, at least bring back to the residents that live on Miramar and Acacia. We just wonder what they plan on doing with the building. So at least that's something I could take back to them. And the one on Keith Circle, you said is August the 23rd?
Yeah, this August 23rd, it'll go on the tax sale for the third time, and so the prior owners will have control of the property, and they've agreed to donate that property. They don't have any use for the property. It's not buildable. And we have two options in. The city could either take it over, or we could talk with some of the residents about having it transferred and put into their name.
Yeah, thank you. One thing for Mike Popo, the small crab harbor, they can't throw the fish they kill and they clean overboard. So they're supposed to be putting them in heavy-duty commercial bags and put them in the dumpsters. Well, the last few weeks, the dumpsters have been stinking real bad, and they said the people that pick up the dumpster are supposed to spray it, and they said they're not spraying the dumpster. Is that in the contract, that they're supposed to be keeping it clean or swapping out dumpsters every once in a while?
I'm not sure.
You're talking about dumpsters, waste
Right.
management dumpsters at the small craft harbor?
Yeah. That's where they throw the fish at.
So
Well, if they're not cleaning them, then you have all the health problems with them.
I'll check with waste management. I know that, they've got a service schedule that they're being paid for once, twice, or three times, and they're supposed to be cleaning the dumpsters before they bring them back. I'll check.
All right, thank you for that. And I want to thank the Mississippi Power Company for my last meeting. The lady needed a light pole at 505 Garcia Street. She's at the meeting. The power company put it up. Monday is finished. So you got to thank the power company stepped up that quick within a week. Had the pole back up, 2 lights on it. Tom Murphy, Mike Milston, and Kyle. These people get that done quick because they saw it as a safety issue, being so dark back there with that pole going. So that was a good thing. Dealt with them. They did a great job of doing it that quick. And another good thing we had is a lady on Miramar wants to do a free library. And she sent me how they do this in different places. And they put it looked like a little birdhouse, but it got books in it. And you go back and forth with the books, and they just pretty much put it in their front yard. So I don't know if the city had any problem with that, or the city was familiar with that. But I mean, it's a pretty neat idea. In the neighborhood, they got a lot of kids.
We did that, I think, at the Biloxi School, Biloxi High School. There was sort of a free library set up similar to that. I don't know if it's the same person, but Lopez does it? Okay, yeah.
There's a nationwide program they do, and I think they put up the thing, so all we got to do is talk to the city, make sure the lady's got to either put it in the easement or put it in her yard, whatever's the easiest thing to do. But I thought it was a pretty sharp idea, so it's a good thing. I know the last one, Popo, you're supposed to be checking on what we're going to do with the old library about as far as that kitchen. You said you're going to sit down with Dale and Associates for them designing something that could connect to the building, kind of like what we did with the old Magnolia Hotel.
Yeah.
Because it's something we need to follow up on.
Right, we'll do that, especially second, third, second floor.
Yeah, first and second,
vertical
yeah.
situation, yeah.
Just connect.
Haven't done it yet, no.
All right, but it's something we need to stay with, because I think the Jamaican is getting ready to open up, and it's fine as long as we get ready to build the kitchen. Really shouldn't be a problem adding that on to it.
Tying it in to meet the historical stuff, yeah.
Right. That's it, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Deming.
I don't have much. Mr. Leonard, if you could just give me an update on the Bluffs concrete roads. We went out there and marked them. I just want to get an update on a projected schedule. And Mr. Mayor, I do have a ward meeting set for September. If you could have somebody there to update us on some of the things, especially the Causeway Park and the piers. Give us an update on some of the issues out there and what we should expect from those.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin.
Yeah, I got a few things. I'd like to recognize our state representative, Kevin Felsher, in the back here. You can't miss him. Just want to let you know we're going to have our second annual pickleball challenge for Real Men Wear Pink that's coming up in October. I understand I've been passing by the pickleball courts, and I've been seeing them out there with some pink shorts, warming up and all that kind of stuff. So, man, you're getting a head start on me this year, Kevin. It's to raise money, it's the flounders versus the gulls, and we have a good time with that. Thank you again, Kevin. I see Nick Geyser, Jason Davis in the audience. Hopefully we'll have a vote later on, and it'll come out positive. Just want to recognize Nick and his family for the lumber yard that they've ran since in the 40s, I think, if I'm correct with that. And not only did you serve, that lumber yard served the building of houses in and around Biloxi, but you also supported the seafood industry. Building boats and trawl boards. My dad used to pick up trawl boards because we built, you know, if anybody knows what a trawl board is, they're used to spread the nets when they put them over on the shrimp boats. So you got a long...
we call them doors, don't they?
That's right, that's right.
George,
So you got a long history in Biloxi. So not only do you have a good old Biloxi family, your acuity today was obvious in our budget discussions. You've been running the operational management for the fire department, and it certainly showed briefly today when we had some questions. We appreciate that. And Jason, just want to acknowledge you. We've rubbed elbows. You got a great career in our fire department, but also in our community. Jason put together a couple of flag football tournaments to raise money, and I had the privilege of going against Robert Deming's team, and not only did we beat Robert's team once, we beat him twice for the championship. So put together another one. We'd love to have a three-peat. So thank you, Jason, for what you do. We're starting the budget process for you in the audience and people watching today. We got a real opportunity. You know, we've went through some tough times with COVID and hurricanes and beach closures with algae and all that kind of stuff, algae blooms, and we're rolling up our sleeves with the mayor and his departments. They've put a lot, obviously, you put a lot of hard work into this budget. We still are tweaking it and trying to figure out, you know, how to optimize it, and we're looking forward to bringing some closure to that budget and letting Biloxi win at the end of the day with what we're trying to do to, as the mayor says, a safe, beautiful, better Biloxi. So a couple more things. Resolution on the agenda today regarding Savannah Estates. I'd appreciate the council's support. This is to do with the second phase on Savannah Estates. We're actually improving some lots and also including a boat dock in that area. Tied to it, the Planning Commission is requiring the development of an HOA to oversee that expansion and make sure it's maintained properly. So I really would appreciate your support. It just goes to show that our communities and our neighborhoods are growing and getting better. And then last but not least, I'd like to recommend that we close this meeting in memory of J.J. Valmuth. J.J. lived on Oak Street in East Biloxi, had a storied military career, but he also contributed a lot to the community, and our prayers are to his wife Sherry, his two sons, Michael and Jay. By the way, Jay is the president of our Slavic Association, and he does a lot of hard work in our community, but the Valmuth and Mazzara families, our prayers are certainly go out to them. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. I have no report. That brings us to citizens' comments under the public agenda.
Oh, I forgot one thing I wanted to ask Michael on Iberville. They cleared his property, and the owner did it. He left all the debris and the trees and everything on the street. And Pelican said they can't pick it up because it wasn't part of their job to do that. That's been there over 3 weeks, so who's supposed to pick this up? I mean, what can we do to get rid of it?
Without seeing the pile, I can't tell whether it's consistent with what Pelican will pick up. You know, there's certain links and so forth. If Pelican hasn't picked it up, all you need to do is call us and we'll put it on Public Works list.
Okay.
We do that all the time if they miss. In some cases, it's debris piles that are bigger than they can take, or the limbs are too long, or the stuff is mixed trash. You know, there's a lot of reasons why stuff doesn't get picked up. Sometimes it's because it just doesn't get picked up. But if you'll just call us, the citizens support number in Public Works, and people sit there all day waiting for the call.
Then we'll call.
They're like the Maytag repairman. Lonely, so
Well,
call them.
are they 24
Schedule a
hours a
truck.
day?
We need, Philly Ray's even got the trucks working on the weekends now to catch up. Now, the dump's only open till noon, but we can make an early run and then just park the truck full and then start first thing Monday morning. So we're working both trucks every weekend in addition to what, you know, Pelican's doing.
Pelican, what he said that there was, they hired somebody to do it, and they were supposed to take it off, they didn't, so it was out of compliance for them. So then we'd have to pick it up Public
Yeah.
Works.
One of the reasons things don't get picked up sometimes is because a contractor has come out and cut the tree down and cut it up and left it, and that's not our job. That's the contractor's job. You hire a contractor to trim a tree or cut a tree down in your yard, he should be, for that price should include him taking that away, not for leaving it for us.
Right. Well, that's
So
basically what
I
happened.
don't know that that's the case this time.
All right, we'll
It
call
may
him
have
in the
just been a
morning.
miss.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to citizens' comments. We'll set aside up to 45 minutes for comments from those in attendance. Each speaker will be permitted 3 minutes. When you come to address the council, there's a sign-in sheet at the table. Please say your name clearly so the clerk can record your name accurately. It's not a question and answer period, but it's certainly a time for citizens' comments. Is there anybody on my left, your right? Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Kemp. We hadn't seen you in a while. How are you?
In Germany, back and forth. My name's John Kemp. My house lives at 178 Hannibal Court, and I live in the city of Biloxi. Mr. Mayor, department heads, Mr. Glavin, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Tisdale, Mr. Deming, Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Newman, Mr. Gines. I'm here to thank the mayor of Biloxi, for being the first person to write my son a letter of recommendation to attend a United States military academy. Not only did he get selected and appointed for one, he got selected and appointed for two. He turned down the United States Air Force Academy, and as of last night, he took the oath and swore in to be a midshipman candidate in the United States Marine to pursue his dream of being a four-star general. And that started right here with this mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'm here to tell you that the young people say that you're a quote-unquote Fofo's gangster. Fofo loves our people, and that makes me proud to be a citizen of Biloxi. Earlier this year, when I was in Germany in March, thanks to Mr. Creel's department and Ms. Dobbs, we can watch your city council meetings 5,000 miles away and read the reports. So great job. And again, I remember the debate about the B News going out, the expensive publication that you put out, but that's worth its weight in gold. Now, I'm here also to say that as the president of St. Martin's Booster Club, Junior ROTC, I have invested the last few years in young people's lives. Young people obviously are our future. I'm dressed like this tonight because, quite frankly, our young people are afraid of suit and ties. So every now and then I put a little shirt on and put my tennis shoes on, and next thing you know, I'm in Miami representing Hormel Chili at a Super Bowl contest. And that little bit of fame, if you will, embarrassment for me, has allowed me and Hormel, who makes Spam and about 25 other products, to talk about this city all over the world. Again, I'm a proud ambassador of this city. Mr. Gines, I love your family. I love what you do. I appreciate you allowing my son to volunteer 5 years ago at an event where we fed first responders when our nation was going through problems with some bad apples in our law enforcement. Chief Miller, it's always been a pleasure to work with you, sir. We've talked several times in person, over the phone, at some of these events. I look forward to you working with you also to curtail this gun violence in our community. As a former soldier myself, I'm surprised that children who act in gun violence are first time they ever use a gun is when they shoot somebody. So please get with me. Let's have some gun safety classes. I was very successful in Atlanta. When those children pick up that weapon, they understand that the most powerful weapon in the world is an unloaded gun, which means every weapon that you see should be approached as unloaded. Thank you. Keep up the good work, Fofo. And again, I am looking forward to crossing Fofo Boulevard in 20 years. Thank you.
Fofo Boulevard, Lord help us. Is there anybody else on my left, your right, would like to address the council? All right, anybody on my right, your left? No one. Anybody in the back?
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
West Point.
Must think it's a Hannibal Court thing tonight. My name is George Parks. I live at 174 Hannibal Court. I am John's neighbor.
Is that a good thing?
Yes. First, I'd like to say that I have been proud to serve a citizen of Biloxi on the Civil Service Commission and also on the Election Commission. And as of today, I have resigned. My resignation was because I drive a school bus for the city of Biloxi, school system. I can't get off at time to go to the meeting. With that being said, it was more appropriate for me to resign now. But one of the things that I found out as working with the Civil Service Commission is that somewhere down the line, we need to look at the part that we have not hired a black fireman in over 20 years, had not hired one. Is it the process or is it the process? Somewhere down the line, something is wrong, either not recruiting folks. It can't be because people in the school system putting out folks, because we have a black fireman in Oakland, California that graduated from Biloxi High. We have a fire chief in Baltimore, Maryland that is a fire chief. So it's not the school system putting out people. Something we're doing did not have people to come down and apply. I know that there are some things in the process that I did not particularly like, but still, we need to do something to make it where people are able to, black people are able to become a fireman also. Thank you. You all have a good night, and I'm going to get ready to drive the bus.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Anybody else wish to address the council? Okey-doke, citizens' comments are closed. That moves us to the policy agenda. Item A is a resolution to grant preliminary subdivision replat approval for an 11-lot, single-family residential subdivision to become the second phase addition to Savannah Estates subdivision. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
That's a motion by Mr. Glavin. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second by Mr. Lawrence. Discussion. Mr. Glavin.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I said in my opening remarks, this is an enhancement or the second phase of Savannah, which includes a boat dock and other development. Jerry, if you'd like to expound on it, if you could say a few words on it, or does that kind of sum it up? As I mentioned also, it involves, and I think the Planning Commission did a good job adding this aspect of it. It requires Savannah to develop a HOA to ensure that the amenities that they're adding to this project are maintained properly and they don't deteriorate. They stay good and useful for a long, long time.
This is a good request. It's for single-family houses. Originally, this property was going to be multifamily, and some of the neighbors there were concerned about it blocking their view of the bay. But the single-family houses, the entire neighborhood seems to be happy about it. So we would recommend approval, please.
Thank you, Mr. Creel. Mr. Lawrence.
I support the flag football championship guy.
All
I
right.
didn't, it was you, the number one guy.
Is there any other discussion other than flag football? There being none, we'll call for the question. All in favor? All opposed? There being none, it's approved. Item B, resolution recognizing the City of Biloxi's lost revenue for purposes of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 calculations and amending the fiscal year ending 2020-2021 budget.
So I move it.
There's a motion by Mr. Lawrence. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr., was that Mr. Gaines?
That's
Thank you.
him.
On this, Peter, you gonna handle it?
Yeah, this is the, an offshoot of the American Rescue Plan Act that cities all throughout the country have received. Biloxi is grandfathered in as a city in excess of $50,000 population. So there was a formula already derived. The total of Biloxi's eligibility to receive under this is a little over $11 million. We've received half of it in the last, a couple of months ago in May. And there are a lot of Treasury guidelines and different things for compliance. This is designed to give us a paper trail of where the money is going and what we're doing with it. We're in the position as a city of Biloxi that we lost $9 million in revenue based on the Treasury formula, primarily from gaming. And so a lot of cities, they didn't really have any loss of revenue. The money's to be used for water and sewer, essentially, and broadband. This is to allow us to document that we've attached as an exhibit the formula and the calculations showing that the city, under the formula, lost $9 million in revenue, that the 1/2 we've received so far is designed to replenish that revenue and can go into the general fund in an unrestricted type account. I think we're still going to keep it in that account, and for whatever we use it for, we can still keep that paper trail going. But I've talked with people at MML. Nobody really has, this is all sort of the process of how to comply with these Treasury regulations. And I think other people are probably using this as a guideline since we've sort of started it.
And we will receive another 5.5 million?
Yeah, 1 year from now, a year from now, so May 20th of next year. And that's in the budget, right? Yep.
And so, but you don't have to actually spend the money to get the rest of it, do you?
No, it's all lost revenue. That was spent and recovered through fund balance. So the $5 million is buried in our fund balance, and the next one is part of the revenue picture that we talked about. So that's planned as part of the, there's no requirement because we've already spent the money in.
Well, based on this, we have $9 million in revenue. We're going to receive a total of 11. So that's going to leave $2 million difference that we will have to allocate to a water sewer type project. Yeah. And with that, and with these other projects, we'd like to try to use that as a matching fund with the county or with the state. If we're putting up some money for water and sewer, we get a match. And there's been some opportunities expressed by the state in that regard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaines. Comment or question?
No comment.
Any other discussion, comment, or question? All in favor of the motion as presented? Thank you. It's approved on a 7-0 vote. The next item, item C, a resolution recognizing the City of Biloxi's acceptance of the CARES Act funds received in the amount of $1,031,832 and amending the fiscal year ending 2021 budget.
I'll move that.
There's a motion by Mr. Lawrence.
I'll second.
A second by Mr. Gaines. All right, Mr. Lawrence.
Peter?
Yeah,
You
this
break that
is,
one down for everybody, the $1 million received from the act?
right, this is, as we were doing the prior resolution, we noted that under the state's formula last October, the city received a little over $1 million. I think we had applied for almost $2 million, but under that formula, we received $1 million. And it had been in a general account for CARES Act, and this is just to create the paper trail to put it into the general fund revenue account, because we're reimbursing ourselves for COVID-related costs.
Premium pay and some of those other things, and, hopefully if we'd have got the 2 million, would have helped replenish some things, but yeah, it's the 1 million that we received last, beginning of this year, this FY year.
Well, is there an opportunity that we receive the other million, or we just gonna receive
I
1
don't think
million?
so, no.
So this was it for that?
This is it for that, but there's another opportunity coming with regard to water sewer, and the 11 million that Peter talked about in the prior resolution, there'll be some opportunity to get at least that to be applied for water sewer. Another 11 million towards water sewer projects, and maybe infrastructure, maybe storm drain too.
Yeah, the Federal Infrastructure Act is working its way through Congress right now. So there will be something very likely in the future, but there's no way to know what that formula is going to be yet.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Gaines? Nothing. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion as presented? It's approved on a 7-0 vote. Item D on the agenda, a resolution appointing the Director of the Department of Fire for the City of Biloxi. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Glavin,
Second.
second by Mr. Deming. Mr. Glavin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I already said a few words about Nick Geiser, but Nick, I'd like to give you an opportunity, and I'm assuming this is your boy with you. I mean, I'm sure it's a proud moment for him. If y'all would come up, and can you give us just a couple of sentences about who you are, a little bit about your background? I understand you got a degree or two also somewhere in there. You mind coming up and giving the council a bird's eye view? Bring your boy up here too. Bring him up here. Hey, WOX, y'all get this. Give him some time on the station there. Okay, there you go. Thumbs up. Pressure's on.
All right. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Nick Geiser. Been with the fire department for 17 years. I've got a double major in management and accounting from University of Southern Mississippi. My beautiful wife's in the back with my 2 daughters who didn't make it up here. I guess I got the boy up here. It is her birthday, so I want to wish her a happy birthday.
Right.
It is also my parents in the back. It is their anniversary, so I want to wish them a happy anniversary. But just to give you some background of me and my background, I'm born and raised here in Biloxi. As you stated earlier, helped with the family business with my dad. Proud Biloxi, proud of everything that the department has accomplished thus far, and just hope to continue it. And I appreciate the nomination, and just want to help everybody continue the progress that we've started already.
Let me ask you, boy, hey, tell the council a little bit about, just one sentence about your dad. What do you think about him?
Good guy.
Come on.
Just he's a good guy.
Good guy. Hey, we're proud of you, son. We're proud of you, and happy anniversary to y'all in the back. We're all proud of you. Thank you, Nick.
All right, thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Deming?
I don't have a lot to add to that. However, I spoke with Nick today, and with Jason's promotion, and Nick, I have an optimistic outlook for the department. And if Mr. Kemp and Mr. George were still here, I spoke with Mr. Geiser. If he's voted in the affirmative today, he has a great plan to get out in all the communities and make sure that everybody understands how instrumental the fire department is and their opportunities with the fire department. And I mean all the communities, both minority and all. I was really optimistic to hear his outlook. It was amazing. I may not agree with the process by which we got to Mr. Geiser, but I'm very optimistic about the fire department under Mr. Geiser and Mr. Davis's leadership. That's all I have.
Any other comments?
I have a comment.
Mr. Gaines?
Yes. Again, just like Robert said, I wasn't totally good with the process, but we're here. And Mr. Geiser, I know the family. I've done a lot of business with the family, and I appreciate the family. And I know you come from good stock, which is very, very good. And the only thing that I ask is, we know we got a lot of issues, and I've been having questions for years. All I ask you to do is be fair. And if you're going to be fair, you got my vote. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I would just like to echo what Mr. Deming said. I had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Geiser yesterday. I've talked with Jason, had a relationship with Jason, Mr. Davis, I'm sorry, for quite a while now. And after talking to him, after talking to Mr. Davis, I feel completely comfortable, optimistic in the future. And these two guys leading our department, congratulations to you both.
Thank you, guys.
I'd just like,
I believe it's going to be a dynamic duo. I'm so excited. And godly men and we men, not an I men. I'm so excited.
I think it's time to call for the question.
Sure, I have one comment. I know the man, I know the family. Show him what a good man can do. Call for the question. All in favor of the motion as presented? It's approved on a 7-0 vote.
Congratulations.
That brings us to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Gaines. We'll start with Mr. Glavin. Any items, Mr. Glavin?
I'm good.
Mr. Barrett, any questions?
The only question I have is with the surge of COVID and the things that we're looking at now, the only question I have is, what is F going to look like?
What is it?
It's the continuing the state emergency
Yeah.
for COVID-19.
I don't have the answer to that right now. We're in our Monday morning meetings, and there's some things, as a result of this, this configuration. So we're concerned, and we're still evaluating where we need to be with regard to inside and those emergency measures.
Chief Miller, how many officers do you have that are down with COVID right now?
I have 10 that are down with COVID right now. Where it's playing out, I would expect probably at least 5 more within a week.
Chief Geiser, how many are you down in the fire department?
We are down approximately 10. Chief Boning right now. We could probably stand a game quite a few more than that to make the budget.
He didn't hear the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7.
Good answer, different question. I think this morning somebody was telling me it was about 6 or 7. Yes, 7. Thank you, Earl. Chief, thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Barrett?
That's the only thing.
I have a question in that area. Is there an opportunity where, and I understand we're not pushing people, but to see how many people we have actually went out and volunteered to get vaccinated? Is there a process in checking that out within our ranks?
What I've asked for Monday is just not anything official. Just want to understand where our problems came from. Were they vaccinated? Were they not vaccinated? What not in case tracking or anything like that. But it would be helpful to understand what we're seeing, Delta or whatever.
Right.
At this point, mayor's instructions to us are,
Stand by.
somebody reports that they're positive tested, we may ask the question, were you vaccinated?
Right.
Only wants to be answered no.
Right.
No, down. But we're not going from employee to
No, just a volunteer basis that we can ask by departments, hey, if you want to volunteer, how many of you guys were vaccinated? Absolutely. Free shots and a beer? Yeah. Yeah, because according to the numbers, the people who have had shots, if they got COVID, we're talking less severe, and we're talking less in the medical area where we have the impact our insurance. So we may want to look at that a little closer.
Okay. Mr. Deming, anything?
No, I don't have anything. I don't oppose anything. The issue with F is my concern too, and where we go with it. One thing, I don't know that I support the issue of even requesting vaccination. The CDC just put out a report like 4 days ago that said the Delta variant is not susceptible to the vaccine. It doesn't prevent the spread of it nor the contraction of it. So I don't know that I could support any of those measures until we have some science that actually supports that. I have seen reports that say it reduces the impact of symptoms, but there's no actual data. I've seen reports that say those studies can't be followed because we don't know what those symptoms would have been had they not been vaccinated. So it's hard for me to suggest that we can use any of these measures to prevent COVID when data continues to say they don't work. So I am like Nathan, I'm curious to know what our measures are going to look like. And it looks like we're going back to the social distancing, and if that's the mayor's will, that's the mayor's will. So again, I just look forward to see what measures we do look to impose. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah, and just a couple of things on the help. I think Jerry Creel had 30,000, and then which we actually needed big time with the tree trimming, cutting up, just something. Glad you did that. I know you cleaned up the thing on Greater Southern, made a big difference. You have to have the money available. Like we're supposed to be keeping the city clean. That's one of the things we need to do. So that was a good thing. On B, I don't quite understand B. They're leaving Asgard. The 2,500 we removed, where did the expense come from? I don't know, maybe Felix might know something on that. They had something with they took the money from the Martin Luther King parade because they had some kind of function. So what happened with the 2,500 that we had to take it out of the parade fund?
I think
Councilman
Guys.
They had the event at the John Henry Beck Park. That's what's about it, moving 2,500.
Yeah, we took that out of it and going to use it for multicultural. The multicultural,
Right. So,
swap it over. Because we didn't use it.
It was an added 2,500 expense. They said they had to take out 2,500, so what was the expense, where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah. What created the 2,500?
Budget. It's in the
It's in the budget.
It was in the budget, yeah.
No, I knew it was in the budget, but then if it's in the budget, why are you moving off the Martin Luther King parade? That's what it said it taking it
That
from.
was last year, we didn't use it.
Didn't use it, so we transferred it to this one.
Transferring it over to Parks and Recs. You understand?
No. I don't see why you had to take it out of there. I'm just saying.
It was a budgeted item already.
And I don't understand that part.
Okay, it was not used at all. And there's going to be a multicultural event.
So you're taking that money and using it for that?
Putting it over there in that part.
That budget.
Just shifting it over, that's all.
It was just shifting.
Just shifting it.
To the left. On E,
That was painful.
Welcome to my world.
Let's stay on task. We're almost done. Let's stay on task. Anything else, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, the the $1 million on the J, and I know we're paying our notes with this here, but the million, the 1 mil, is, what is it worth, 2.2 million?
1.85, I think.
That's county millage.
It's 2 million, but some goes to debt service, so it's about $1.5 million.
Yeah. And we've been doing that for the last few years, that you picked that up. That was that was a good thing. That was a good move for the city of Biloxi. I mean, we gained $1.5 million. That was unbelievable, just sitting there. We didn't go after that money. So that's a good one there. That's a good plus.
Yeah. We didn't go after prior years either, so
Yeah.
just remember.
I mean, I know they paid the $375,000 they pay on the bond money, but I mean, that's a lot of money for us. And on the last one, Kilo. Yeah. This here, is that what we're doing here with this money here for the capital project 1085, Lighthouse Pier parking?
One of the things the mayor has wanted to do for quite a while is to increase the amount of parking at Lighthouse Pier. There was a lot of wasted green space that was just, wasn't very green. So.
But there was 70, let me say, there was 72 parking places, we 72, I think, and we're going to 175 parking places there. By the addition of a reconfiguration of the access road and parking up against the green spaces about 2 feet from the curb of the highway.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because on like Friday and Saturday night, that place is packed for parking.
We'll do that before November too, so that's going to coincide. That's going to be done before November when we unveil the statue, Fred Hayes statue, right there at the plant.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. Just double checking it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Deming, you still had a question on item F, was it?
Yeah, most other states of emergency are controlled. We have funding mechanisms that are reimbursable through FEMA, state and federal mechanisms. Do we have that through COVID? Is there any federal or state agency that allows us to get any reimbursable expenses due to establishing a state of emergency like we do for storms?
I'm not aware of it. Mike, are you aware of?
I think we've gone after everything that we know about.
Do we need to be in a state of emergency or if we're not a state of emergency, are we prohibited from going after any reimbursable funds?
I'm going to tell you based on not a lot of information, but I think the important thing is to keep that running, because let's face it, as you know, the federal government has not spent all the money that it obligated, and there's still more COVID money potentially out there. So I think we just want to keep that state of emergency running. It's painless.
Yeah, I think one thing to point out too, this is not, there aren't any executive orders that are in place right now. There's no business being closed, but we have this other $5.5 million that we're due to receive next May. So even if COVID was totally cured and everybody was well tomorrow, I would keep this state of emergency in place until we get our other $5.5 million.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Newman, anything? Mr. Gaines, we're seeing less of you. All right, I have no questions.
Mr. Tisdale, I want to ask one more thing.
Sorry, sure, Mr. Barrett.
George was bringing up the parking at the lighthouse. I've had several people inquire about the plan, timetable of when that pier is going to be put back. I know that's not an item on the agenda, but it just jogged my memory.
We have awarded a contract to an engineering firm to design the new better than ever pier. They're beavering away from that. We will apply to FEMA for a hazard mitigation grant, meaning that a grant that pays us back more than what it costs us to build it back the same way.
let me say, it won't be a pier, we call a breakwater with a pier addition. So there's going to be a significant change in the look and feel, as well as the survivability of what, what will remain. So the engineering is going on right now. We're assured that, I think we did calculate the cost of putting that 600-something foot pier back together, and the amount that we could spend over in addition for mitigation would be equal and now put it back. So we're trying to calculate that exactly, but there will be a breakwater that will do more than just, have the pier, but it'll be some concrete mixture of that and different decking that will be survivable.
Mr. Gaines, any questions, items? Okay, are there any exceptions under the consent agenda by the council members? There being none, all in favor of the consent agenda as presented, approved on a 7-0 vote. That brings us to a code enforcement hearing. We'll now open this hearing on the matter of Marcia Staling, Blackledge Estate, 2013 Brazier Road. Mr. Creel.
And this property is still in violation.
Present to speak on this matter. Good evening. Anybody here present to speak on this matter? There being none, this hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Creel. That brings us to the routine agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Barrett. Mr. Lawrence.
Peter, you're the only one left. Walt, who's got the money for this week?
Nothing to report, Councilman, this week, but I did email MEMA Public Assistance Director and discussed our concerns with the lack of funding. He said he was setting up a meeting with their attorneys to discuss what the holdup is, and he expects to get back to me midweek. So hopefully by our next council meeting, I'll have some good news for you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions about the routine agenda? There being none, all in favor of the agenda as presented. It's approved on a 7-0 vote. I'll entertain a motion to, well, I think Mr. Glavin made the motion earlier.
I'd like to make a motion that we close in memory of James John, J.J. Valmuth. And I just want to add this. In the 50s, he was a decorated career, air traffic control. He was stationed not only in London, but Germany. Very, very critical with his involvement with Keesler Air Force Base. He was part of the realignment, sat on that board, the bedding down of the C-130s here. So he was instrumental in Biloxi's success in more ways than one. So I'd like to make that motion.
So we have a motion by Mr. Glavin, and I will safely say this is seconded by the remainder of the council.
He had 51 years of service with the military.
A long time.
51 years.
Can I add something?
Sure, Mr. Deming.
I know, Tanner, I know that we typically do a certificate or, the minutes or whatever for the family. Both of our other clerks are out with COVID, so if you're familiar with them, let them know that that'll probably come late. Is that an accurate assessment, Tanner?
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
He's married to Sherry Mazzara. That lived on Oak Street. That's what she grew up at.
All right, all in favor of the motion? It's a 7-0 vote. We stand in recess. Thank you.